Yo, what's going on? It's DJ Crowley here. It's Simmer Down live from home, and we got John O'Halloran, Chalk Dinosaur in the house. Pittsburgh, PA. What is going on, man?
Not much. Thank you for having me on your show.
Dude, 32 records, 227 plus songs. Each and every one is its own unique piece of art. Last night, me and Blue were going out to grab some dinner, and I said, "Hey, Blue, randomly pick a Chalk song." He picked one, and it was, of course, amazing. Every single song you have cultivated is unique, engaging, and something to listen to start to finish. Tell us real quick about Chalk Dinosaur for anybody that may not know because they're late. Late.
Yeah, that's really nice of you. I'm glad that you connect with the music and that you enjoyed it. I started Chalk Dinosaur in when I was a freshman in college. I just got a recording interface, and like I had kind of messed around with music a bit before then. But I really got into the recording once I got a recording interface and really started to get into songwriting. And so I just needed a name to start kind of putting that out on my MySpace, which was what was going on at the time, MySpace music. So yeah, Chalk Dinosaur is it. And then, ever since then, I've just, recording, writing songs. That's kind of been an obsession and performing. There's been a couple different band arrangements, and it's kind of just continued to change and morph through the years. Um, and I guess yeah, if it started out as kind of an indie rock type of project because that's what I was listening to. That's what I was inspired by at the time. And then as the years went on, it gradually kind of shifted to psychedelic rock, and then got started getting into like electronic music, and so it's kind of just combined a lot of stuff from just everything that I've been into over the years. Which yeah, right now it's a lot of either just like electronic and kind of like psychedelic jam, that mixture.
The music goes everywhere, and we're going to talk about the music and production, your passion of production, in just a little bit. If you're just tuning in, you're late. We're stepping outside of the reggae and world box for very good reasons, a very special occasion. We got John O'Halloran of Chalk Dinosaur in the house, Pittsburgh, PA. I want to talk about Pittsburgh because as a tour manager and somebody within the reggae circuit and the scene, we did not tour through Pittsburgh a whole lot. Actually, for my personal kind of career and everything, we did not get to Pittsburgh. Some reggae bands do get to Pittsburgh. Tell us about Pittsburgh and how cool of a place it is.
Pittsburgh's been great. It's really cheap, first of all, which is nice. I mean, maybe not first of all, but that's just like a nice thing. But the size of the city is very approachable, and it's not too crazy to like get around or do stuff. And I think the music scene, like I haven't really lived in another city, so I've only seen their music scenes from the outside, but um and I'm not sure if it's this way in I'm sure it's not in some cities, but it's very tight knit. I feel like I know most of the people who are anywhere closely related to the type of music that I'm into. I feel like I know everybody kind of knows each other, and it's a very supportive kind of music community as opposed to like a cutthroat or competitive type of scene. And it might just be the music scene that I'm in, because I mean, when I started out in the indie scene, it was um, little more colder, I guess. Like people weren't as supportive and friendly. But in this kind of jam, like festy music type of stuff, everybody always goes to each other's shows and brings their friends, and Um, I've gotten to make music with a lot of them.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is a really interesting place. I'd love to be able to visit there sometime because I mean we were doing our routing things and Pittsburgh just wasn't there. And I would always ask, well, why aren't we doing Pittsburgh? Well, the pool wasn't that good for, reggae there, but it's cool to hear about everybody's different, scenes and towns because there is a unique scene and family within every city and town in this country, believe it or not. But I want to dive into your music. Ziggy Marley told me years ago, all music is music, no music is not music. And I think that's very true. And Michael Goldwasser of Easy Star All Stars and Easy Star Records told me the other day about their drive to break down genre barriers, and you definitely do that. You go from tropical to complete electro to psychedelic rock and roll to funk. Tell us about your multitude of genres and musical styles and why you chose to have this sort of no rules kind of situation with your creative process.
I think, yeah, for the first two albums, I was, well, also just like building skills and learning how to write songs better, but I was sticking very, pretty narrowly to like an indie rock style. And then I experimented, I was really into surf rock at the time. So I made a bunch of recordings in that style. And I really liked having like a kind of a small EP of a certain style. Um, and at the time, I was getting really into a band called Ween,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things I really loved about their music was that they kind of hopped from genre to genre and really like would embody like a completely different sound and do a really good job with it for one song, and then um, something completely different for another one. And I think that was the first artists that I had really come across that really seemed to have no regard for like what was expected of them in terms of their style. Um, so at that point, I feel like that's kind of what inspired me to kind of like feel okay about, well, this doesn't match any of the rest of my music, but I like it, so I'm still gonna I'm still gonna release it. And I had toyed with the idea several times about, well, maybe I should create a different artist name to release like this type of music under. And I finally did do that like last year, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to have all of it in one place, like all of the just the entire body of work just in one thing, and then kind of separate it by albums instead of making different artist names.
Yeah, man, it's really really just cool to be able to click on a random record in your collection and go on a completely different journey while at the same time still hearing that unique Chalk Dinosaur sound, which is really rare when you're hopping genres back and forth.
That's good to hear. I mean, I feel like it's probably pretty confusing until you hear, you have to hear like a certain amount of it to kind of be like, oh, okay, it's like a lot of different things. Because if somebody listens to one thing, they're not gonna necessarily get that if they play another song. So it it's probably not. It's very hard to market. It's like hard to. It definitely makes things a little harder in that regard. But it's always nice to hear that there are people out there who appreciate the variety, and that doesn't put them off.
Well, I mean, I've been hearing it more and more lately. My dad would always say, if you hear something more than once, you should really look into it. And hearing, uh, the Easy Star All Stars legend Goldwasser talking about it, and then Peanut from 311 was talking about, Ween as well with me. And it's interesting how things kind of come around. Everybody out there are no rules in music. Break those genre boundaries. I want to move on here real quick. Speaking about, your differences in your music, you also have these alter egos of of yourself when you're doing your promo videos or talking on your podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you have like the country John, you have the British John, who's very like this, and then you have almost, I don't know if it's Boston or New York or the Northeast John, right? It's Chalk Dinosaur. I think it's more Boston, for sure. What you go so many different directions. Where does that come from?
I feel like a lot of it's I'll be watching a show and they'll be talking in an accent, and it kind of just like I can't not speak in that accent, and it's kind of always been that way. Like when I was a kid, I would always watch Crocodile Hunter, Steve Irwin, and always just be trying to talk Australian accent. And I mean, before I was really into music, I was really into doing like video stuff and just like, I mean, kind of like what I do on the Instagram when I'm doing like characters and stuff, just stupid stuff like that. So that's kind of always just been. I like doing accents, I guess, characters.
Again, it's no rules, man. We got John O'Halloran, Pittsburgh, PA, Chalk Dinosaur. We're stepping outside the reggae box for a very special occasion. It's a good reason, man. This guy is so talented. His band is so talented. They're on the well, they've been on the road this year. We're going to talk about the road here in just a bit, but I do want to talk about your podcast, man, over on Podbean. I didn't even know you had this going on, and what a cool thing just to sit down and talk about day-to-day life and touring and everything. Tell us about your podcast.
Podcast. I think I started that in 2020. That might have. I don't know if that was a COVID thing or no. I started that in 2019, but I was just I was like getting really into podcasts, just like listening to a bunch of different ones, and I would hear some music podcasts that an artist would like Song Exploder or something, and Kevin Parker of Tame Impala would like describe how he made one of his songs or what he was thinking, and I thought that was really cool. And like if he had more, like if I could hear him speak about his music more, I would. So I just wanted to create that body of kind of another layer of depth, like in case somebody, gets really into the music and they want to hear more about it, or they want to kind of go deeper into the Chalk Dinosaur universe. I just kind of wanted to have that available. And it's also just a pretty cool journalistic snapshot in time where, you go back and listen to something and you can really hear details about like where your head was at, on, just it really can bring you back.
Yeah, man. And you're talking about journaling too. And that's something I've never done. And I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier about the journaling. And I think that's just so cool because it's really like a snapshot of your day or of your present state. And you were saying like it could help you get inspired too.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a cleansing, like a just like a mental hygiene thing where you have all these thoughts that kind of keep popping up in your head, and just like a lot of things going through your head, feelings and thoughts, um and that can kind of like really kind of weigh you down, and you might not even realize it. And a lot of times I would find that it really help clear my head if I can just write all that stuff out on paper, with no filter, and no concern about whether it was good writing or nobody, intending for nobody to ever read it or anything. So, one of the few places where you can really be totally unfiltered without any fear of judgment or somebody, just I guess it's a very cathartic thing, but it does also help kind of align your focus whenever you might just be writing about, what do I want to do with my day or my week or my month, and then you can kind of start to formulate things that you feel like are important to you, and if you keep journaling about it, you can keep your mind focused on like what you're trying to do at at a certain given time. But a lot of times it's just for therapeutic release of things that may be bothering me.
Right, right. One thing you said that hit me for sure was if we want to feel inspiration, we must not wait for it, to find us, but rather we must seek it out and cultivate it. If we feed it, it will grow. If we neglect it, it will wither. And that's something that, like, for my like as a musician, like I'm a music business first and foremost for me, but I'm also, I love playing music, all kinds of different instruments, projects, all that kind of stuff, kind of like you. Uh, and I feel that I have to wait for the creative to come to me. And it's interesting what you said there. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, and this is just from you know reading a lot of books and stuff on creativity, just people's points of view about writing and music and art. Is that if you kind of put yourself in that mind space of like, all right, I'm gonna try to make something. I'm gonna try to write some lyrics, or I'm gonna try to come up with a riff or something. Even if you don't, if you just keep putting yourself in that space, um, and you're consistent, you'll start to expand into it, and more ideas will come easier, and better ideas will come more often. Um, if you're just putting yourself in that space of, and not putting pressure on yourself to make something great, but just giving yourself the time and the space to explore that. And I've definitely found that to be the case with. It's very apparent with writing lyrics because the longer, I mean, if the wheel's turning, it's the words come a lot easier. If I haven't written anything in a while, it's like trying to start turning a wheel. It's like it's a lot harder if it's not already moving. So kind of just I don't know. Somebody once described it as opening the channel, just keeping the channel open, showing up.
Okay. Keeping the channel open. I like that. Yeah. I'm gonna incorporate that into my personal kind of artistic kind of musical vision as well, because I've always like I'm not there. I can't find it right now. I'm just gonna sit and wait for it. Um, but that's an interesting point. I think everybody out there should definitely keep that in mind. Keep that wheel turning. Uh, I want to talk about the live show real quick, and then we're going to get into your passion, your number one, which is production and music. You have decided to hit the road once again this year, which is amazing. We love it. The full band's out there. You've been doing some super heady fest, summer camp, the big giant one in Chillicothe, Illinois, and then you had Dome Fest, Pigeons playing ping pongs festival, with so many bands are putting on their own festivals right now. It's crazy. And then coming up in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina, at the Salvage Station, one of our favorite spots, you got Summer Sequence. That's Papadocio's gig, I believe. You're going to be there on June 24th on Saturday. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Yeah, man. So tell us about the live show, man, and what kind of pulled you back into, hey, let's get back on the road and start doing this again live.
So right now, the live show, it's kind of like the music. Like it could be one of two shows, and they're both completely different. One of the shows, and it's the probably the one that's going to be touring, like traveling more, is our like duo show, which is me and my brother who plays drums, and that's a much more like electronic dance and funk oriented sound. And then for certain, special shows, there's four of us. So there's two other guys that are our friends that will play, and for those sets, it leans more rock, like jam and rock, but still incorporates a lot of electronic elements and stuff. And yeah, we've kind of been just playing mostly just around Pittsburgh and some festivals. We've gotten lucky with getting to play some festivals over the past couple years in other places. Like we got to play Peach Fest last year, which was
Nice.
a big one, and Electric Forest in
Hmm.
2018. But mostly it's just been regional. And I mean, the hardest part about trying to do that is there's just such a hard ceiling on what you can do based on everybody's careers and what's going on in everybody's lives. Because, at this level, performing is like in no way like a supporting, like you can't like support yourself from it at this level, at least like, so like bridging that gap from like, well, how do we advance when we can, only accommodate so many shows and traveling and stuff has been, that's kind of been like the mystery that I always ask artists, like, how did you guys bridge the gap from, um, from the level that we were at to the level where your artistic project is, a viable career. Um, and this past year, we started working with a booking agent and a manager. Um, Rob Chafin, who is very involved in the jam scene. He's the drummer for the Works, and he throws a festival, the Workout, and is the talent buyer at Legend Valley, that concert venue. Um, so we kind of been like he'd been helping us out on the side a bit here and there, giving us some good shows and stuff. And just this past year, officially, we started to team up and actually work together. And then he got us a booking agent, Sam from Pivotal, and just having like those two guys has been like a humongous difference in the amount of shows we're able to book, and especially in other places. Because before them, like I tried to book like a tour to Denver, tried to kind of route a tour to Denver, and I like couldn't even get anybody to respond. Like they don't know who I am. Like I have no booking power. Um, and I probably wasn't persistent enough with it, but I was able to book one show and it was in Denver. So I just went and had a trip in Denver and played one show out there. But it was really opened my eyes to how much harder it is to book shows out of town where people don't know, like Chalk Dinosaur, know anything about us.
Well, it's really about as far as booking and everything. What bands are looking for direct support and opening and getting into that motion is hard ticket sales in each and every different region. It's all about just going all in and getting out on the road. And I know it can be really tough, but man, you guys have the most unique sound that goes so many different directions that we've ever heard. And everybody that we've showed your music to has instantly fallen in love with it. So remember that, man. You got something really great. Unfortunately, this business is about those dollars and numbers and all that stuff, unfortunately. But if you believe in yourself, like we all do believe in you and your band, if you go all in, I think you got it. It ain't easy though, it's not.
Yeah, it's yeah, I feel like now is the time we're gonna give it a real shot here because
Awesome.
we've got a little extra manpower behind us, and you know now is the opportunity to really give it a shot. But I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, hey, we mean it, man. Since first started listening to music, it has been instant like gratification and feelings of just happiness, and diversity and grooves and moves and just that was dope, man. That bass, that guitar, that sound, that direction, top, bottom, left, right, level one, two, three. Excellent, man. So good. We're talking about just how dope of a musician, a producer, multi instrumentalist, live musician, anything that Chalk Dinosaur is. Anybody out there that have not heard about Chalk Dinosaur, you're late. You're late. You're late. Check them out. And real quick, John, how can everybody find out about, more about you and your music and what you're doing?
If you go to chalkdinosaur.com, that kind of has all the social links and an email list. And but yeah, just or if you search for Chalk Dinosaur on Instagram, that's kind of the platform I'm the most active on. But yeah, it's Instagram or just go to chalkdinosaur.com.
Perfect. And speaking of the website, I want to just get into merch real quick. We've talked about it a couple times, but are you gonna do some vinyl?
um, well, I would like to. I think the since we weren't really playing as much before, I kind of have like a fear of having too much inventory, on my hands. Um, and the overhead was high, but I've discovered Q rates, which is a have you heard of Q rates?
I have not.
It's a it's a way to make a vinyl with that's funded by pre-orders. So and they ship directly to the people who order it. So if you can get, I think 100, if you can get 100 people at minimum to buy your LP, then they'll start making it and they'll send it directly to those people. And there's no overhead, there's no inventory that you have to manage, there's no shipping you have to do. So it seemed like a pretty low risk way to try it, but yeah, I definitely want to do vinyl.
I think you made a post, you're like, hey, if I do vinyl, which one should I, what was the winning one that everybody, what was the one that everybody's like, this one, what do you think?
It was pretty inconclusive. Um, Pretty inconclusive. I think we we deliberately made this newest full band album uh, a length that would fit on a 12-inch. So I feel like that would be a good one. And then I would also like to do like a double, like two of my EPs, like shorter EPs, um, like Word of the Soul and Fear or Love or something, like side A and side B, something like that. Like two older ones of stuff that I feel like is my favorite.
Yes, Sticky Fingers out of Australia did that with Caress Your Soul and another one, and they kind of put it all in one sleeve. That's always a good idea. One of my personal favorites is Fire on the Beach, man. My spirit animal is the ook. And Blue, you want to hand me another one? I can keep going. I mean, we got zillions of them, and
Awesome.
Fire on the Beach is just, man, that record sounds so crispy, so warm, and so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm really proud of that one.
And you had Pseudo Dudo, your very favorite artist, right? From Pittsburgh to do the art on that with the upside down palm tree. How cool was that? I mean, just beautiful.
Yeah, he's really good and has a very immediately recognizable style. Anytime I see something he's done and from like another band or another yeah, yeah, that's what I needed.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
He's just got super distinct style, and I recognize like I've seen it on like a hard seltzer label, and I didn't know he did that, but I'm like that's got to be him. Um, but yeah, my fiance actually commissioned him to do art for do like a cover for us um, for like a birthday present. She also gave me the ukulele that I used to make that song. So I've got to say thanks to her for providing those things.
Dude, the ook is such a special instrument to me. It's how I started, actually playing music. Uh, Tell us about working with the ook, and then we're gonna go into some deep dive on gear.
Okay. I first played one in my high school. There was a club, a ukulele club, and I just joined that because like one of the teachers was really into it, so he was always playing, and it seemed cool and a nice portable, just like a such a nice mellow, like so easy on the ears.
Mhm.
Sometimes like an acoustic guitar with metal strings, like if someone doesn't know what they're doing on it, sometimes it can be a little harsh. And I feel like with those nylon strings, it's just everything's so round and it's just I just love that sound. I love that sound and the sound of the slide guitar,
Mhm.
like the Hawaiian lap steel sound. So I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing on the instrument, but I play guitar, so like the skills like translate pretty well. I just have to like figure out what chords, how to play the chords and stuff. But I'm definitely not. It's not a. I can play it, but it's not like something that I would call myself like a player, ukulele player.
Have you ever tried a baritone ook?
No, I would love to though. A little bigger.
So yeah, I've got a baritone. So that one's much more similar to a guitar. It's the bottom four strings of your guitar versus that
That high
the
string.
yeah, right. The high, all the other ooks like the tenor, the super soprano, soprano, all of those are just that high string and then into the regular. But the baritone is just your bottom four strings of the guitar. And I thought that getting a baritone brought me into playing guitar, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's got such a fuller sound. I would definitely recommend a baritone ook. It's got an amazing sound to it for
That'd be
sure.
cool. Is that how? Man, have I been saying it wrong? Is it ook?
So I Jake Shimabukuro, the ukulele wizard,
Yeah.
he is just the most incredibly talented oud player I've ever seen, met. And I look up to him so hard, and he
Mm,
always would tell me, in Hawaii, it's the ukulele.
okay.
And he also told me that you can say ukulele, it's okay. There's no rules, just kind of like there's really no rules to anything. You can do whatever you want as long as you make it sound good and people love it.
Well, if that's how he says it, then I trust that. That's like Moog synthesizers.
Oh
Moog.
man, go to
Um,
Asheville, man. That's where the Moog headquarters is.
I'll have to check. Oh, nice. Yeah, that would
Yep.
be a cool pit
Hmm.
stop. But I was calling it Moog. I feel like that's the way I hear people say it the most. And then I read a Bob Moog quote saying Moog like Vogue. That's
Yep.
how you pronounce it. And then I was like, okay, I can confidently say Moog now.
I think I called it Moog for a while, and then somebody was like, "No."
Actually,
Okay. Yeah, we actually were on tour with the movement, and we our good friend Matt, the keyboard and horn and mostly instrumentalist from the movement, I got invited over to the Moog headquarters while we were on tour, and we joined them, and man, that place is so cool. I
wow,
mean, you talk about finding all kinds of cool little sounds and knobs and oh man, it was so fun. Definitely recommend you doing that for sure.
cool. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I didn't know it was so close.
Yeah, it's within 20 minutes of downtown, I believe.
Sweet.
Don't quote me on that. It may be downtown, but it's once you get into Salvage Station, I don't know how long you're gonna be there, but definitely check that out. And Asheville, side note, is in my opinion, the coolest, most beautiful city in the Southeast, period. It is the most artsy, the most groovy, the most welcoming, and the crowds are music fans. They know music and they love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
absolutely.
would be our first. Well, this would be my first, proper trip in Asheville. I've only driven through it. I've never, spent any time there. So, everybody seems to love it, though.
Huge routing point for all genres, not just jam or reggae or electronic or whatever. It's a routing point for every single genre. Every single booking agent knows that Asheville is one of the places to go for live music in this country for sure. And I say that with a very, very solid state of mind.
Nice. I'm excited to get to play there.
Yeah, dude. And if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. We got Chalk Dinosaur from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the house, and we're talking about all kinds of things, but we're talking about my personal spirit instrument and animal, which is the ukulele. I want to dive into your passion, which is music production and songwriting. What is your spirit instrument? Do you have one?
I mean, I think the one that I have the most ability to kind of express ideas on is the guitar, but I really feel like my spirit animal instrument is like the music production, like is the recording, um, or maybe like the assembling of the songs, like the songwriting. I feel like that's where like my strength is in like writing and like producing, recording the music. Like I don't feel like as a player, there's just like I don't I like I'm proficient, but I'm not really like compared to the people that I'm playing with on some of these shows, they're just unbelievable. And so I feel like the songwriting and producing is really where I kind of feel like I have the most gifts, I guess. Not so much the instrumental stuff.
I think you're holistically I mean, so talented. I mean, from the guitar work to anything within your music, we'll sit there and be like, whoa, I mean, eh, don't ever put yourself down because you're a lot more talented and beautiful than you think you are, for real.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey, let's dive. So you are you are a producer, man, first and foremost, and a songwriter. Uh, what what's your go-to DAW? I know in the beginning it was this thing called like Fruity Loops. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Fruity Loops, Acid 3.0. Those were like middle school. Like I didn't even know. My brother had like pirated them, and they were just like games that I would play pretty much. Um, but it's been Logic for the past, since like '09.
What is it about Logic that you love so much, and why do you continue to use it?
I think it's just familiarity because in high school, as the computers had GarageBand, so I was messing around a lot on GarageBand, and then Logic is very similar to that. It's just expanded, so it was a very easy switch to like the professional program, and so that's pretty much why I've continued to use it. I just know the interface really well at this point, and I know just how to do what I'm trying to do really easily. And I mean, it would be nice if I had learned Ableton to the same level, but I just haven't committed the time to go through that like beginner phase again because every time I try, I have to like watch a bunch of tutorials. It kind of like can take you out of the creative flow if you're like, how do I do this thing that I know how to do in this other program, but you got to look it up. So so far I've just stuck with Logic just because it's the most kind of transparent like tool I have.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Blue is a huge Ableton fan. And my producer, Scott, big up Be the Line Productions. He taught me a little bit about Ableton. Ableton is tough, man. It if you don't know what you're doing, like it's very difficult. It can be for sure. And it's interesting you said that it can take you out of the creative process, which you want to stay in. There's so many things in this world right now that can take you outside of that creative process, that passion, that love. Like, social media, got to do this, or got to book shows, or, this and this and that. But that is interesting what you said there with that.
Yeah, Ableton's weird. It's really an intuitive and a really well designed program, but yeah, at the same time, it's just like there's little differences in how to do certain things that would just take a little bit more of a commitment to really get comfortable with for me.
Yeah. I want to talk about your kind of creative process here. Like, you know, what gear, what plugins, what knobs do you like to turn? Like what makes it kind of happen the easiest? What puts you in that happy place the quickest?
Hmm. I guess there's a couple different ways. I feel like writing on guitar is a very like quick way for me to kind of just explore ideas and rifle through ideas. But on the computer, I feel like making some good sounding drums is usually like a pretty uh, inspiring way to start a song sometimes because I feel like in all of my favorite music in terms of like the production and the way it sounds, the drums are always something that I'm like striving for, like better drums, because that's always what stands out to me with like really well produced music is like the drums and bass. So I'm a big. I feel like I'm always looking for like drum samples, always collecting drum samples, and then I feel like it helps me get from A to B quicker on hardware synthesizers. I use Serum for software synth stuff and a little bit of Massive, but sometimes the vastness of those can be it can kind of be a distraction in itself. I'm like listening to like all these presets and like
Mhm.
fiddling with a bunch of they can just do so much that sometimes I can like lose the objective of, I can get stuck on that step forever, just like listening to all the sounds it can make. So I use a Prophet. That's like my main polyphonic synthesizer, uh, Dave Smith Prophet, and I feel like before that I was using a Juno 60, which was like an 80s synthesizer, which was kind of like my really like really connected with that keyboard, and pretty much just anything you played sounded good, and you could really it was really easy to manipulate the sound. The layout was really simple, and so yeah. And then now I switched to the Prophet a few years ago, and am still I feel like connecting with that instrument and learning how to get good sounds out of it. But usually, yeah, that'll be a pretty inspiring place to start. And then the Moog Minitar is like
Yes.
for bass is just because I have a Moog Little Fatty, and you would think that, and that one can do great bass stuff too. But there's something about the Minotaur that I don't really know what it is, but it's the bass just is so present and full, and I don't really have to do much. It just sounds good, just like a saw wave sounds great, and so I can kind of just move forward with the song and with not a lot of messing around with that. Um, and then I like to record acoustic drums a lot too. And that's kind of I don't know, that's probably more challenging to get those to sound the way I want than using samples. But let's see. What was the question?
Well, no, check this out. Interesting, you're talking about drums. There was a post you made, I think it was last year, and you set the drum kit up upstairs in like a dining room,
Oh yeah,
right? Dude, talk about thinking outside of the box there.
it
And
was a
you,
mic. It was a mic up there.
yeah. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. So, I mean, perfect example right there of like no rules, baby. We'll make it sound good. I mean, and
It's
I
fun. Yeah, I've thought about. I feel like I had heard of echo chambers at studios or like reverb rooms where it's just like a room. They've got like a PA speaker in this room and they like pipe the sound out the speaker and then record, the room sound. And I guess that got me thinking about doing that because you can hear the drums like all throughout the house.
Yeah, no, I thought that was just absolutely incredible. We me and Blue watched that like that is a great idea. Sometimes you don't have to have you don't necessarily have to have the computer. Like I personally, it's very tough for me to get creative on a computer to start off. It's all about taking the actual instrument or my songbook or whatever it is and starting from there. Uh, but that's not the case for everyone, you know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. Yeah, I agree. Although, yeah, certain songs like start out on the computer, just like tweaking like a loop for a while, and then, but yeah, it's very easy to get kind of hit a dead end doing that. And yeah, a lot of my favorite songs have come from sitting down with an instrument, not in front of the computer.
What is your favorite song or record that you've ever put out?
I feel like the song that I'm the most proud of right now is probably "Fire on the Beach."
Boom.
In
Mm-hmm.
terms of just all the points that I feel like that one's my favorite right now. But there've been I'm a big I was really happy with "Deeper Than My Mind,"
Mm.
which was a song on Star Blazer. Um, the Word of the Soul album, I like all of those songs a lot. But right now, yeah, it's "Fire on the Beach."
It's such an incredible song. It's so well written. The production on it is absolutely incredible. That whole record, I mean, is just we were I think we were going to cook out, get some late night food one night, and you know we knew that you were about to drop the record at midnight, New Music Friday or whatever it was, and we turned it on and we were just like getting down in the car in the drive-through line. Like this is the
Awesome.
dopest. And the bass, oh my, the bass sounds so good.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, that right. Again, I really think that one should go on vinyl. It is.
Wait,
I mean, I've been saying that one since day one. Um, but yeah, we've already talked about the vinyl. Hey man, if you guys are just tuning in, you're way past late. We've been sitting down with the one, the only John O'Halloran, Chalk Dinosaur, Pittsburgh, PA. He's a legend, man. Remember this. If you haven't, been able to check out his music, please go right now and check out his music at Chalk Dinosaur, chalkdinosaur.com, and Chalk Dinosaur .com/store, the Chalk Dinosaur store, as you say. Man, you got this box, and then inside of that box is another box, and then it's laser engraved,
that's
and
it.
then it's got this. Oh my God, it's the whole discography in one little tiny little box of boxes. Go
Very
check it
very
out, man.
deluxe.
It's deluxe, dude. Go check it out. Because all of John's music and the band included is spectacular. Coming to Salvage Station June 24th for Summer Sequence, Papadosio, Infected Mushroom, Talk, and the list goes on, man. Please remember that you rule and don't stop. Go out there and hit that road hard. It's not going to be easy. It'll be like a level 5 difficulty, but I know you can get through it. And when you do, the whole world is gonna be jamming to some Chalk Dinosaur because you got some serious stuff. I've got one last question for you. All right.
Thanks, Alex.
Usually, I ask everybody the first time I interview them, what does reggae mean to you? But we're stepping outside of the box, like just like you do. You step outside the box with everything you do, and your number one thing is production and songwriting. I think passion personally is the most important thing in life. So, what I have to ask to you, again, it's been a pleasure. when you put on headphones, where do you go?
If I get into a good if I get into a good flow, I guess I get sucked into the song. Um, Definitely go to a place where there's no time because that goes away. Um, but it's not always that doesn't always happen when I start working on something. But when you sink your teeth into something good and feels like it's got potential, and things are falling into place, then that's kind of the that's like the ultimate feeling for me.
It's a powerful feeling when you sit down and you're in your happy place. And I think the studio is most likely your happy place.
Oh
And
yeah.
you put on those headphones, like, all right, you know. Hey, actually, you know what? One more question. What is coming up? What instruments have you used or have you not used or dove into or genres or whatever that you want to that is gonna be coming up in the Chalk Dinosaur future?
I think probably the next thing that not the next thing that comes up, but the thing after that is probably gonna be it's probably gonna be it's gonna be what me and my brother Nick, like our joint creative work, which we've done a couple here and there, but we haven't really released like a body of music that we've worked on together that's reflective of like what we do live as a two-piece band. So that's going to be, like electronic groovy beats with live drums, and we'll see where it goes after that. But somebody also gave me a trumpet, so
Mm.
I'm going to try to try to learn how to play that, and someone also gave me a saxophone, so hopefully some brass lead lines at some point in the future when I develop the ability to do that.
Have you ever thought about a sitar?
I like the sound. That's kind of a rare instrument. But I have no idea. Oh, you know what? Harpeggi. Those I've been seeing those on Instagram. You seen those
Hmm.
things?
Yep, yep,
Those sound really cool.
yep. There's a lot of kind of newer instruments that are kind of popping up everywhere, and older instruments that are making a comeback, like the melodica, and the oud from the Middle East. And I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many beautiful instruments. That's one of my big things. Is always like I call my instruments my family, and the sitar is the next one. I had a sitar years ago, and it was so difficult to
Oh yeah.
restring that I
Yeah.
couldn't do it anymore. So I'm looking into a travel size sitar, a little bit more manageable. I've been talking with Robbie Myers, the other Rob of Thievery Corporation, and he's been kind of helping me kind of figure out which one to get. And, he goes traditional all the way, like, the giant old, I can't, it's just ridiculously difficult. But it doesn't have to be as long as you keep pushing and going forward. Man, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. I know it's been a long one, but this has been a long time coming. And remember that we love you and your music, and so does everyone else. So
Thanks.
go out there and do it, man.
Yeah, mate. Thank you.
There it is. All right. Hey, man, that's Chuck Dinosaur.